Dear friend, today we will discuss on basic concept of DBMS, which is generally asked in interview. So here I have a small questions. So sometime DB interviewer is asked and raise the question, what is DBMS? DBMS means a database management system, or DBMS is a collection of programs that enable user to store and retrieve data from the database securely with the help of DBMS. So you can perform the number of operations such as creating a new database, inserting and deleting data, updating data, etc. It is a much safer way of storing data as compared to the traditional file-based system. Some common example, just like as a MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, DB2. So other more database is having, some database is having, so database mostly all these are the structured database, semi-structured, MongoDB, or other lot of other database, so that can be used depend on the requirement. So here I am discussing about the structured database. What are the advantage of DBMS over the traditional file based system? So here I have some important advantage of DBMS over the traditional file system. Traditional file system means before database, the data was storing in some files, and from the files read and write. So that's what big challenges. So here comes as a database. So that database have some operational command, procedure, function, cursor. Lot of things are integrated in the DBMS. So accordingly, we can use and store and retrieve through this command. So the question is having the advantage of DBMS. So here I have number one, Re- data redundancy can be controlled, no authorized access of data, multiple user interface, easy accessibility and processing of database, provide the backup and data recovery. So this is the advantage of DBMS over the file system. Once, what do you mean by normalization in DBMS? So normalization is a process of minimizing the redundancy in the database. It is also help to overcome insert, delete, update abnormalities. Okay, so this is the main thing about normalization, minimizing the redundancy in the database means improve the performance of accessing and pushing concept. What do you mean by denormalization in DBMS? Denormalization process of adding the redundant data to the database. It is done after normalization to avoid the costly join. It is a common database optimization technique which is help to boost the performance of database. So denormalization means this is avoiding means if you are using some cross join, costly joining, inner join, right join, so how can optimize it? Okay. Explain the differences type of DBMS architecture. There are three types of DBMS architecture. Single single tier architecture, data is readily available on the client machine. Two-tiered architecture, DBMS software is present on the client machine and database is present on the server machine. Okay. Three tiers means the layer is present between the client and server machine and there is no direct communication between client DBMS application on the client machine interact with the server DBMS application on the server machine. I think hope you if you are the database guy so you can easily understand about what is single tier architecture, two tier architecture, three tier architecture. So just we for your explanation how what kind of question is asked. That's why these things have been mentioned in this document and explaining with you what is checkpoint in DBMS. So checkpoint are or save point is used to declare the state where all previous logs are removed from the system. In the event of system crash, the checkpoint can be used for recovery and instead of performing the transaction from very beginning, you can use to checkpoint to get the last recorded snapshot of the database. Okay, so I think you hope you understand about the checkpoint. So checkpoint basically if you put the checkpoint so can you can recover the data uh, whenever the system is going to crash. So when you put the checkpoint, so you take the last recorded snapshot database that things can be recovered. What is database language? So database language refer to query are used to update and modifying the data in database. So these are the four main types of database language. One is a DDL. DDL, this command are used to update the data. DML means data manipulation. These commands are used to manipulate the update data. Data control language, DCL, these commands are used to providing revoking user access to database. Means if you want to revoke the users from the database, you can revoke through this command. Transactional control language, TCL, these commands are used to manage all transaction in database. Okay. And one more thing is SQL, query structure language. Structured query language means parse select reading the data from database. Here it comes lot of things. We can write the query. So query is basically part of the command means create, delete, update. In okay, insert. So lot of things are there. It is a structured query language. Okay. What do you mean by the data model? Data model is a collection of tools that are used to describe the data, semantic and constant. They also help to describe the relationship between data entry and their attributes. Some of the most common model are hierarchical data model, network model, entity relationship model, and relational model. So these are the model data. What is collection tools? So here tools suppose you want to get the structure of data, whatever table, query, relationship, that kind of things you can collect through the specific tool as a structure that can things means what kind of hierarchy. So all these things relational things can be achieved through the data model. So here I have a tool. Suppose you want to generate the model of what relation, what table, what kind of things is going on, how to process this DB table. So that things is a model. What is different between the entity and attribute? Entity refer to real world object in database. For example, in employee database have different entity can be employee, designation, department, these are the entity and so on. Attribute is a characteristics described for entity. For example, employee can have name, ID, age. It is the attribute. Okay. So entity means just like as a table name. Attribute just name of the column of all these tables. So in simple words, we can say explain the ACID property of DBMS. ACID property are basic rule of DBMS which is need to be followed in the order of preserve the data integrity, atomicity. It is also known as a all or nothing rule, which is implies that the everything considered as a one unit is either run to complete or not execute the all. This is the atomicity. Means if you success or fail, so this thing can be automatically deal by the DBMS. So this is the atomicity. Consistency. This property implies that the data is the database remain consistent before after every transaction. Okay. Isolation. This property states that the different number of transactions can be executed concurrently. Different type of transaction means different type of transaction you can concurrently means that is a parallelly you can execute with using the isolation. Durability. This property ensures that the every transaction is stored in the non-volatile memory after the transaction is complete. Okay. So these are the five set ACID concept. What do you mean by the functional dependency? Functional dependency or database depend the determine the dependence of the one attribute to another. This is donated as a x to y, which means y is functionally dependent on x. So this is the dependency means primary key, foreign key, whatever you are using. So one primary key is if you are defined and that another one is a foreign key for the primary key in other tables. So that are dependently some kind of constant or lot of things we can apply in the database. But as per the interview as a definition, what is the functional dependency? Means entire the functionality, how to depend each one attribute to another attribute. Okay? Attribute just as a column name. Whatever value, one table value. So just simplifying with you primary key and foreign key, if you put any constant, composite. So what here dependency is allowing and what is the functional dependency, any means functionality, whatever things is that. What is the main difference between delete and tourniquet? Delete command used to remove the row in the table based on the condition set by the where clause. Row deleted cannot be rolled. Rows deleted cannot be rolled back. And tourniquet command used to remove the all row in the table without any condition. Rows cannot be rolled back. Okay. But in delete can be rolled back. But in tourniquet cannot be rolled back. So this is the main difference. Explain the difference in normal form of normalization. Most common normal form are first normal form, a table said to be 1NF if hold only atomic value. Second normalization, a table set to be second NF if it is in one NF and non-prime attribute or not depend on any condition key. Okay, any condition key. Third normalization form, a table set to be 3NF if is in 2NF and non-prime attribute are not depend on any super key. Okay, so basically normalization is a process of holding the key. First normalization is simple, atomicity, automatically handled. Second normalization means one NF and non-prime attribute are not depend on any other condition key. Means have a two table but not dependent on each other. Third normalization, second and other attribute not dependent any super key. By and chord normal we see attribute set to be he in the BCNF if it is an 3NF and every functional dependency A to B is a super key of table. Okay. So for more detail, if you want to ask the normalization whole detail, but the interview point we have noted this simple point just to read out. If you have difficulty, please put in the comment. But I will request to you, if you watch this video, please like and subscribe to this channel. It is help to me making new video for you, which is help to you in cracking the interview. What are the differences between hash join and merge join? Hash join is used to join large table. Merge join is used to join two input stream of the join table into a single output stream. Okay. If you merge two table generating the single output, so here can be say as a merge join. Hash join means used to join large table. Means data will be comes into large table. Large table means if you two tables you want to join, so output will be as a large table output. But here will difference is merge join into the single output stream. So is this data will come into the output stream. This is the differences. What is relationship in DBMS and its various type? So relationship associate or link between two or more data entity. Entity means table, one or more entity. There are three main types of relationship in DBMS. One to one. The single record in one table is related to single record in another table, vice versa. So this is the one to one means one record from one entity to another entity, one record, both should be relation each other. So this is the one to one. One to many means single record of one table is related to many record of other table, vice versa. This will be one to many. Many to many, multiple record of one table are related to multiple record of another table. It is describe only how to use interact with the database. Describe the different type of key in DBMS. So following key are given. Primary key, it is an attribute used to unique identify each record in the table. Is a primary key is a compulsory for every table. Candidate key, it is a set of attribute used to unique identify in the table. If you have one primary key in the one table, you want to create another primary key, so that should be say as a candidate key. Super key is a set of attribute used to unique identify a single tuple. Okay, means from one or more keys can be handled with the one super key that that set to be a super key. Foreign key, it is a field or collection of field which is used to link one table to primary key from another table. Okay, explain difference between intention and extension. Intention is a constant value where describe of the database doesn't change or is highly unlikely to change frequently. It is usually specified during the database design phase. Extension, it is a description of actual database at a particular time. It is likely to change the frequently. What is data abstraction? Data abstraction is a process of hiding irrelevant detail from the user. Since a database consists of complex data structure, so data abstraction help user to interact easily with the database. For example, user can interact with the system using GUI, but they may not be necessarily know how data is being stored in the backend. So this is the data abstraction, means internal process of the database don't cannot be uh, cannot be know. That's why it is a abstraction. What are the different level of data abstraction? So there are three types: physical level, logical level, and view level. Physical level represent to the lowest level of data abstraction. It is show the complex data structure and describe exactly how data is stored. Means we can describe. Logical level present the middle level of data abstraction. It is describe the data stored in the database and relationship between them. Logically, relationship between them means we can stable primary key, foreign key, whatever. View level is represent to the highest level of data abstraction. View level means view level means it is a virtual level. Means you can make it the virtual table. So this is the way of data abstraction. What is the difference between proactive, retroactive, simultaneous update? Proactive means the update that occur inside the database before event become active in the real world. Means this question are related to trigger. Retroactive update. This is update occur in the database only after it occur in the real world. Simultaneous update. This is update occur at the same time, it does not in the real world. So all these three differences are related to trigger. So please go in the trigger, read out the process of triggering, so you can get this answer of these three concept. Okay, I just moving next question. What is deadlock? Deadlock is a situation where the set of process get blocked due to the dependency on other process. So each process hold up a resource there is required by another process to run, so hence cannot be proceed further. Means deadlock can be utilized in database. Suppose one process is running, so another process can be deadlocked once the other process until unless complete. So this is the part of deadlock. How do you know which database model to choose while creating the database? Depend entirely on the purpose of database. Each model has own strength. For example, you want to use atomic data, relational model work best. If you want to use the text or semi-structured data, so document model work best. Which abstraction level would you provide to user who are not developer and system admin? So we can provide as a view level of data abstraction is a typical given to user who only need to detail of table schema, which is make sure that the complex structure of table it is a physical storage or hidden from them. Okay. In the event of deadlock, what would you do? So you can take two approach to address the deadlock. Lazy way, do nothing, simply restart the operation to get out the deadlock. Proactive way, preventing the deadlock to event happen, allocate the resources in such a way that deadlock will never occur. Resource means if sometime memory issue system is completely full memory, so in that cases resources can be allocate. So these are the two way proactive. Proactive means you always keep the eyeball in the database. What is the status? What is things? So that kind of things deal with the proactive way. What should you do when you do not have any primary key for the table? When there is no primary key for the table, should create a surrogate key which act as a pseudo key. It is simply a made up value which can be created by the auto incrementing ID. Okay. So automatic when surrogate key means whenever you can make it the auto generating primary key. So this way can be go. Under what conditions should you use an index? Index can be used when you want to enforce the uniqueness in the database. You can also use to facilitate the sorting and perform fast retrieval column that the frequency used can be a good candidate for the index. Okay. If suppose you reading the data from the tables, so in that cases you can do the indexing, but you make sure if your table is transactional, so your indexing would be impact the performance of the table. If operation is update insert, so in that scenario, cannot put the indexing because of that performance is going to slow. If you want to, when you facilitate, whenever you sorting the data or retrieving the data, in that case is index is good approach to improve the performance of the database table. Why is group clause used? Group clause use the aggregate value to be derived by the collecting similar data. Compare non-clustered and clustered index. Both having B-tree structure, non-clustered index has data pointer enabling one table to many non-cluster index, while cluster index is distinct for every table. Okay. How does index helping hunting the help in the improving the query performance? Hunting help in the improving the speed as well as query performance of the database following measures are achieved to do. The query optimizer used to candidate the study of query, which workload and best use of query surrogate based on this. Index query distribution along with their performance. Observe that to check the effect. Then you apply. If the table is having operational just like as a insert, delete, update, so in that scenario cannot go with the index. Tuning database to a small collection of problem query, it is also recommended. What is the database partitioning? Division of logical database into the independent complete unit for improving the management availability performance is called data partitioning. Explain the importance of partitioning. Splitting the one table which is large into the small entity logically called the database partitioning. Okay. So to improve the query performance in the situation dramatically when mostly row which are heavily accessed are in the one partition. Accessing the large part of single partition, slower and cheaper storage media can be used for the data which is seldom used. So this is have 30 question regarding to database interview. So now the video is going to end. So please like and subscribe after watching to this video. But be carefully after reading this question. If you have doubt, just you put in the comment box. I will reply to you. Other way, if you have more doubts, so just go with the concept of the table structure. So you can get the detailed idea about that related to the questions. Thank you so much.